Hello guys, welcome back. Ohayo gozaimasu. Herzlich willkommen. So my friends, update here on AMD, and this is a very important update. I don't know if you have seen my previous videos on AMD. I am quite bearish on that stock. Not right now. I said that we will touch here a certain price level before a potential sell-off is coming, so I have to update that chart, and I can tell you that my strategy here for this stock didn't change, but I want to give you here an updated chart. And the price levels here to the upside are now a little bit different than to my previous videos, guys. Everything what I say here is not financial advice. This is my opinion based on the chart. Okay, guys, so when we see what is going on here for AMD, then we have here a very, very important breakout right now. We can see here in the weekly chart a gap up. So here this gap up, guys, happens when the market makers push stocks in the pre or after market. Of course, both directions are possible, but this gap up is very important, guys, because it happened at a very, very significant price level here for AMD. So then let's check here the drawings. I will disable the indicators for a second, guys. So if you have not seen my previous videos, why I have been bearish on AMD, not overall, guys, don't get me wrong. Overall, AMD is in a super, super strong uptrend. There is nothing you could do wrong with the stock, but you could have a bad timing buying the stock by buying it here at the peak levels. So what we had right now, after this kind of squeeze here in March 2024, AMD started to correct, and in total, and we see that here the peak was March 2024, the bottom was April 2025, so we had here a downwards momentum for more than 1 year, and we lost 66% of its value here in 1 year. This is why I mean, based on where you bought. So if you bought here, for example, AMD back in 2020, I'm still holding that, guys. Congratulations. In my opinion, not much to worry, but we have to talk about all these price levels. So what the market makers doing right now is they pump, the so-called big tech stocks or the big market capital stocks. They get just right now pumped. And what happens then afterwards, guys, when the peaks are in, they will sell off those big tech stocks, and then the small cap and mid cap stocks will start to squeeze. For example, stocks like AMC. I made here a brand new video on Patreon where I explain how a big squeeze for AMC can happen. So I have a lot of breakout and squeeze stocks on Patreon. Not only meme stocks, of course. I identify and research the market for squeeze opportunities and post those stocks on Patreon. If you want to see these stocks, you can, of course, join us here. The full package membership gives you access to all my content on Patreon, not only to my breakout plays, also here to trading tutorials, member FAQ section. So if you are a beginner in trading and have no idea how to start, there is a lot of content available, but also for advanced traders if you want to learn more about indicators, chart patterns, and so on. The link patreon.com/blackbelttrader is available here in the video description. So guys, for AMD, so what I have to change right now, or have to adjust, normally I never change or adjust my charts, but what we didn't need anymore is this red trend channel pattern, which has been active here since the peak in March 2024. That was the resistance for AMD. I will delete this line. I don't want to overload the chart with too many information. And now what I did for you guys, I added this brand new trend channel here. The upper trend line here is the major resistance for AMD, where usually the big whales, the market makers, are selling off their positions. We have the same similar setup for the S&P 500. You can see my videos here as well, where I explain that in detail. I am quite sure, guys, that in the next couple of weeks and months, the market peak will be in, and then we could see a massive sell-off. And this is the reason why I'm also, let's call it, bearish in the short term for AMD stock. Yeah, guys, the major price level, I mentioned that in the beginning of the video, that we had here this gap up. So this gap up here, guys, is a very rare situation. Gap ups in the weekly chart, when you go here, for example, I'm using here TradingView. You can also get TradingView if you want, guys. There is also a link in the video description. But this is very rare, guys. Open gaps in the weekly chart are very rare. To the upside or downside, it doesn't matter. And you can see that we have now two open down gaps for AMD here in the weekly chart, which means there is a potential, in case of a market correction or market crash, that we will close this gap at $167. I have no doubt that AMD will come back to these price levels in the next days or weeks. but there is also potential that we come back here to $105 in case of a market correction or crash, and I also have no doubt that we will close this gap in the next couple of weeks or months as soon as the market correction steps in. And this is the reason why I'm quite, let's call it bearish on AMD, because based on the actual price, the closing price was $176. Based on this price, you can see that we have a potential loss here of minus 37% just based on this price and the open gap. That's why I personally would be careful. It's not financial advice, guys. I don't want to scare you. I just explain you here the technical situation. Why is this gap here, this gap up, so important right now? When we switch back to my drawings, and this have never been changed, guys, the main algo supply zone, which means the resistance for AMD, is waiting here at $164. And exactly here, when we try to squeeze above this price level, we have now a gap up. And the reason for this gap up, guys, you can see here the green line in the chart. I will switch now to the daily chart. There is also one open gap, which we now filled right away. Yeah, here was the open gap at $174. And this gap has been filled, guys. And now you can see that the market makers try to decide if they want to let just AMD continue to rip, or if we will come back down and start to close the open down gaps which are waiting here. And then of course the main goal will be to bring the price back below $164. So let's talk about the bull case scenario that we just continue to squeeze. What does that mean? Then, in my opinion, the next price goal which we still see at least for AMD is $205. So based on the price which we have here right now, the closing price, there is a breakout squeeze potential, call it whatever you want, of 16%. And in best case, we will retest here this upper trend channel box where the market makers start to sell off. And that could mean we see here a price of $244, $250, depending here, of course, on the day. This is an ascending trend channel pattern here where the market makers usually sell their positions, guys. So keep that in mind. These are the price goals here. Major price goal is $164. As long as the price stays above $164, guys, that would be super bullish for AMD. When the price drops below that, I think we will start to retest the lower price goals here, which are $133 and $102. And if you remember what I said in the beginning here in the weekly chart, guys, we have a couple of open gaps, and one of these open gaps is waiting, as I mentioned before, at $105 in favor of a market crash. We could see here, if we squeeze here back to $244, we could see here a crash of more than 50%. But of course, that doesn't happen in one day, guys. That takes a couple of times, since we had that here in the market peak in December 2021, and the second peak for AMD was March 2024. My friends, that was my update for you on AMD. I hope that was helpful. This video is not to scare you, this is not to hype you up. This is really just to try to explain you how I see the chart, how chart pattern works. Sorry for all the lines here, guys, a lot of information in the chart, but this is what it is, guys. And in case when the market will crash or correct, AMD could go back here to $102 and lower. And depending on when you invested in the stock, nothing to worry about, but you don't want to FOMO in, buy at the peak, guys, because this is what the market makers try to make you do, right? To buy at the peak, then they dump their positions and you have a minus position in your portfolio for a couple of months or even years. My friends, that was the update. I hope that was helpful. If you don't want to miss any updates, please hit the like and subscribe button right now. I thank you so much for your loyal support. I appreciate that, and see you in the next video. Arigatou gozaimasu, vielen Dank, alles Gute und bis zum nächsten Video. Take care. Bye bye, guys.